Hey, how you doing? This is Adam Post, publisher of more than 1,000 comic books and marketing expert covering Bud Light. Bud Light's brand is in a state of total collapse. The former president of Anheuser-Busch distribution is now openly predicting that thousands of people are going to be laid off who produce, ship, and package the beer because of the massive destruction of the brand of Bud Light. Let's get into the story. Before we do, please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate you. I'm trying to get to 30,000 subscribers, so if you can subscribe, please do subscribe. Coming from Yahoo Finance, former Anheuser-Busch executive warns thousands of more employees will be laid off amid the sales slump. As hundreds of Anheuser-Busch employees pack up their desks due to a company-wide layoff, and we know that to be anywhere from 350 to 400 people, one former executive of the company warned that more job losses may be coming. Quote, "My vantage point is that they're going to have to find somebody new," former president of operations Anson Frericks said on Thursday on Cavuto Coast to Coast. Otherwise, you've seen hundreds of people laid off at some of their suppliers, their glass suppliers, and unfortunately, he cautioned, thousands of more people laid off if you don't find somebody who can come in and you can get this brand stabilized. When he's talking about the brand being stabilized, he's talking about them getting into a situation where they can get their volumes back anywhere near where it used to be. This is coming from the Hill. Bud Light Brewer says market share has stabilized since Dylan Mulvaney controversy. So what is he talking about? What does he mean stabilized? No, what he's talking about is people need to have some confidence about the brand so it can be promoted and it can be properly distributed by their 500 independent distributors. Yes, the sales are down around 30% consistently by volume nationwide. In some places, it's down as much as 90%, like in South Carolina and North Carolina. In other places, it's down much less. But with a 30% reduction from a number one brand now falling to number 4 or number 14 in some cases, it means a complete shifting around of what's going on with the brand. So while Anheuser-Busch could be out there and promoting and saying, oh, well, it looks like our volumes have stabilized. Well, they haven't. But that number is also affected by them giving away the beer for free in many cases, or having massive rebates where the beers are costing $0 per case pack or 33 cents a can. They can't sustain that. And then in addition to that, because they're losing shelf space, it's going to be a much more drastic reduction than 30% of the volume. But how could you keep people employed making the beer if you can't distribute it? Anheuser-Busch InBev on Thursday reported a steep drop in profits amid the ongoing boycott against Bud Light, but the company insists U.S. consumers still have a generally favorable view of the beer brand. The company announced that its U.S. revenue dropped 10.5% in the second quarter, while its earnings before taxes, interest, and depreciation fell 28.2%. This is despite a price increase that in the first quarter of the year, they did just fine. They didn't have any drop in revenue or drop in profits. 28.2% as a drop in profit is a severe drop. We also don't know the details of their accounting. How are they accounting for all the extra expenses related to the Bud Light boycott? The second quarter covered April through the end of June, so just 3 months, and offers the first look at the damage caused by the Bud Light boycott, which began in April after the brewer partnered with transgender influencer Dylan Mulvaney. Quote, right now they've said they've laid off only about 2% of their staff, yet you've seen their sales are down over 15%. Their volume's down 15%. That's all brands that they have, Frericks pointed out. So there's obviously a mismatch there. At some point, there's going to be more people that go if they don't find somebody new to turn this around. He's talking about somebody new in the CEO position, which he's been calling for now a couple of months. And bravely, he's been saying that openly and routinely. That's not something people normally do in business, where they criticize people so openly like that, especially because they do have a working relationship where Anson Frericks used to work under Brendan Whitworth, CEO of Anheuser-Busch, and got at least 2 promotions from him until Anson got up to the position of president of distribution for all of Anheuser-Busch US. That drop of 15% down in revenues, 15% down in volumes reflects all of their brands combined. So this is not just affecting Bud Light. Of course, the Bud Light brand is practically destroyed, but it includes the rest of their brands because many brands are being boycotted. Anything made by Anheuser-Busch that anyone in the US can detect, they will not buy. Whoever is boycotting the Bud Light brand. Frericks doubled down on his assertion made on Varney & Company last week that current Anheuser-Busch CEO Brendan Whitworth should have been laid off in place of the rank and file employees that were laid off. None of the people that were laid off by Anheuser-Busch were actually making the beer. They were just marketing and office staff. It's the people that are making the beer that represent the larger portion of the 19,000 employees they have, and several thousand of them are probably going to have to be laid off. Quote, "It's the CEO that's accountable to the shareholders of the business," the former executive said. This should have been a breakout year and a breakout quarter for the company. Breakout year, breakout quarter, meaning that it should have been extremely profitable for the company, and the revenues should have been excellent, but they weren't because of the boycott. Yet in this quarter, you saw the US business down 30% in terms of its earnings year over year. Earnings plunged in the US that took the global company to only up 5% year over year. So obviously we need to find somebody in the US that can turn this business around and get these loyal Bud Light customers back, he added. Pouring out some optimism, the former president of operations expressed that there is a solution Bud Light can take. Quote, "Those Bud Light consumers, they don't want a debate with their beer. They just want Bud Light focused on things that all consumers enjoy, sports, music, and others," Frericks said. "But I really think it starts with something very simple. It's an apology to the consumers that they called fratty and out of touch," he noted. "I think that would go a long way. And then after that, it's getting back to those great ad campaigns we all enjoyed long ago." Anheuser-Busch did not respond to Fox News Digital's request for a reaction to Anson Frericks' future layoff warning. If you follow my channel, you know I've also been warning about layoffs at Anheuser-Busch because with the sales reduction, there has to be a reduction in the employees for production. There's no question about it. The canary in the coal mine, the first thing that's going to go is administrative staff, and they've already done that. Next, unfortunately, comes production. Once they get the sales reports in from the next sales period, which should come in September, that's when the layoffs are really going to start to come in really aggressively. Of course, the original owners of Anheuser-Busch, who unfortunately sold off control of the company to this terrible management that doesn't seem to care about customers, would have hated to see what the company turned into. And let that be a lesson. It's okay to sell your company if you own and start and control a company, but just understand eventually it will probably get destroyed. Only Berkshire Hathaway goes out of its way to make sure that when they acquire a company, they keep its culture intact because they want it to stay the way it was. They don't go and push any of that woke agenda stuff. From TMZ, Anheuser-Busch, "My ancestors would have rolled over in their graves" over Bud Light ad with Dylan Mulvaney. The heir to the Anheuser-Busch fortune is appalled the company that bought his family out used a transgender person to advertise Bud Light, saying, quote, "My ancestors would have rolled over in their graves." Billy Bush appeared on TMZ Live Friday to discuss his new book, Family Reigns, The Extraordinary Rise and Epic Fall of an American Dynasty, when Harvey asked him about the Bud Light ad featuring Dylan Mulvaney, a move which triggered a massive boycott. Bush believes the company that succeeded his family should never have put a transgender person on a Bud Light can, arguing the beer drinkers, quote, "want their beer to be truly American," adding, "I just don't think the audience that drinks beer is into transgenders." He went on saying, "People who drink beer care about wholesome things." Bush argued being a transgender person is a sexual preference, and Harvey shot back, "It's a matter of identity, not sexual preference." And if you could see me on video, and I'm not on video right now, I'm shaking my head. That triggered a whole argument about prejudice, but Bush was adamant he feels the successors to Anheuser-Busch screwed up royally. Well, there's no question that they screwed up royally. They're not supposed to be going out there and losing $27 billion worth of value and becoming a controversy that's talked about everywhere, well beyond YouTube, well beyond in the mass media. It goes everywhere that people go. Of course they screwed up royally, but when you sell something that's yours, the next people that buy it do get to control it. There's not a lot you can really do about that. Let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. Do you agree with Anson Frericks and me that realistically, if they're laying off marketing people, if their volumes are even only down 30%, and it's probably a lot more than that, they're going to have to lay off a lot of the employees that make the beer because they don't have the customers that they used to have. And do you agree with us? It's probably going to be in the thousands of employees, being that it takes thousands of employees to manufacture and distribute this beer. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Always love to see your ideas. Please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon with another video. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.